Hello everybody, it's Joe back with another raw video, and it probably will be a raw video today because there's a fair bit of noise around, and some chopping and some boats, as I'm quite near the lake right now, so do excuse that. Today I wanted to talk about consciousness shifts and Pluto. If you've been keeping up to date with some of my posts or other astrologers' posts, you'll be aware that Pluto moves into the sign of Aquarius on the 23rd of March. And so it's expected there to be a huge shift in human consciousness and understanding around that time. Pluto moves extremely slowly, so no one in living memory will have experienced this shift into Aquarius. And once it gets in there, it will only stay there till June, and then it will retrograde back into Capricorn again for a while, and next year we'll finally completely move into Aquarius, where it will not leave until 2044, so a good 20-year stay, which is typical of the kind of lengths, although Pluto does have a very elliptical orbit, so it can spend a shorter time in some signs and a longer time in others. The last time we had a shift was 2008, when Pluto entered Capricorn, and we had, of course, the big financial crash that year. Not surprisingly, as Capricorn is associated with old systems, big business, finances to an extent, certainly corporate finances. So it wasn't perhaps a big surprise that we had the financial crash that year. But what can we expect? Well, in the days running up to the 23rd, we have full moon on the 7th, and of course the equinox around the 21st, and just squeezing in ahead of the move, we'll have a final new moon before the shift. But I think what we can expect, and what we've already been experiencing, is a lot more of our emotions coming up and our triggers. If you have, for example, childhood trauma, which most people do, you might find this is coming up and being triggered very easily now, but also that you'll recognise this, and also the patterns behind it. And it's okay to have a cry, and it's okay to just allow yourself to feel them, and on a mental level you will be able to process and understand this probably a lot better than perhaps you have in the past. And the shift in human consciousness, well, where is that taking us? Obviously over the last few years we've become more and more aware of our physical reality here on the earth plane and multi-dimensional universe. But still, this is very hard in general for even very enlightened humans to get their heads around the concept of no time and space, for example, except on the earth plane here. And of course, as physically incarnated souls, we do need a sense of time to understand the procession of time as we understand it, and our aging process, for example, and to anchor us here on earth, so that we have chronological memories that we can call about. Sorry, just coconut seller going past. So yeah, to understand there's really no space and time can be a tricky concept to grasp, even if on a mental, intellectual level we understand. Really processing that information can be quite difficult. And what does this mean for things like past lives and future lives? Well, then in theory, of course, these would all be occurring simultaneously with our current life. And so I've come to realise over the last year or so that our dream state, our sleeping hours, are actually the most vital part of our existence in a human body. And in a sense, our waking hours, we use them to sustain our physical vehicle with food, water, to sustain ourselves through earning money, for example, within the system we live in, and just having fun, playing, socialising, the things that kind of sustain us on a more emotional and physical level. But it's at night time where we do our most important work, when our soul leaves the body and we connect with other beings, we connect with our own past lives and also our future selves. We learn, we teach, we gain wisdom, we share information, we heal or be healed. So there's a lot of important stuff going on in the night, and of course we obviously don't often remember any of it, but that's fine because it's still taking place and it's for our ultimate benefit and our own personal evolution and collective growth. And then of course there's the other facet of multiple timelines, even within our own lifetime, infinite timelines, that through free will, consciously or unconsciously, we're jumping about in different timelines all the time. For example, it's thought that if you come out of your gate and you decide to turn right instead of left, there'll be another version of you on a different timeline that turned left and will then lead a slightly or very different life according to that one small decision. So you can imagine how many, possibly hundreds of thousands, maybe more, versions of ourselves are walking around. And this can be a hard concept to grasp, but it's actually these other versions of ourselves, again, that we can access during the dream state. And sometimes we learn from other aspects of ourselves and other beings, and sometimes we are the teacher or passing on the wisdom and information. So this is all truly remarkable information that's, I think, come to light over the last few years in particular, although the understanding of it has been around for many decades now. So I think this is where we will see the first shifts in mass consciousness, this understanding of ourselves as souls in a human body rather than humans with a soul, and the understanding of the nature, the true nature of reality, the fact that we only experience time and space in the physical earth plane. And then of course this helps us to understand our interconnectedness. So a lot of benefits can be gained from this. So I think this major understanding will come quite quickly now and en masse. Obviously more and more people have been understanding these concepts now for a while, but this could actually be the point now when Pluto enters Aquarius and from next year stays in the sign, that we start to see a huge understanding of this, and therefore a shift in our attitudes, our consciousness, perhaps the way we interact with each other, how we treat ourselves, how we treat the planet, and all the living things upon it. So I see this as hugely positive, and so if you're feeling a little bit wobbly, weird, or having a lot of emotions and traumas coming up, then I think this is well timed at the moment, because we are being cleared out, if you like, and prepared for this new shift. So try to flow with it if you can. Be very gentle with yourselves. Allow yourself to be angry and feel anger if that's what you feel, and also allow yourself to shed the tears, which is a very beneficial and cleansing process for us all. So I hope that's given a bit of insight into Pluto's shift. I will be writing and posting a little bit more on this, although when it comes down to it, the actual astrological insights may not be that complex actually. I tend to try not to look too deeply before the event, and start looking more in depth at the astrology just sort of nearer the time, really. So let's see what that brings. Anyway, I'm wishing you all a fantastic day and month of March. Exciting times. And I know we've heard this a lot, but this really is a huge shift when Pluto moves signs. So let's embrace that, and really take care of yourselves and each other.